Small business war stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes. Hey, lovers of small business and good stories in general. Welcome to episode 55 of Small Business War Stories. And today, I had a really exciting guest. And I'm not just saying that. This stuff that these guys do is unreal. I sat down with Steve Jones, who is one of the founders of Teton Gravity Research in Wilson, Wyoming, which is really right next to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And this is a company that is unreal. I learned about them a while ago. I used to live in Oregon, and I did a little bit of snowboarding. And they made the most unbelievable snowboard films. And they make ski films, snowboard films, and they've expanded into all kinds of different action sport films and surf films and mountain biking. But Steve has a really fascinating story, and he also talks about all the things that they're doing in order to promote environmental responsibility, social responsibility, and the fact that these guys, him and his brother and his friends, were able to go from basically being young guys who loved to be out in the mountains to a very successful company that's been around now for about a couple decades now, and they've been extraordinarily successful with that. It's really inspiring, and I learned a lot about all the things that they're doing. So I don't want to take any thunder from the episode, but it's a really cool one. And this episode is a part of the Soul of America 2 tour, and it is sponsored by FreshBooks. FreshBooks is accounting software for small businesses, and they have over 5 million small businesses that use them, and they're a new partner to us, and we care at Small Business War Stories and have proven about sharing resources that we think are useful for small businesses. So you can do things like invoicing, you can do things like online payments, you can do things like taking project deposits, and you can get insights in where FreshBooks can show you whether or not a client has looked at the invoice that you've emailed them and things like that. That's only a small part, a fraction of what they can do for you, but they are especially good for people who provide services, like service providers, and we are really excited to partner with them. If you're interested in checking them out, which you should, you can start a 30-day free trial. You need to go to freshbooks.com/warstories, one word, and you enter Small Business War Stories in the How Did You Hear About Us section. And that is going to get you started with FreshBooks. And a lot of businesses are finding this successful, and we encourage you to do the same. And the episode is also brought to you by Proven. Proven is a company I started, and it is a small business hiring tool that allows you to spread your job to over 100 job boards and then collect all the applications in one place and collaborate with your team in hiring. You should check us out. It's a free trial for you to go to proven.com and start posting your jobs. And we're also turning into a small business information hub. So if you go to blog.proven.com, we're posting lots of different articles on lots of different subjects that are exciting to small businesses, that are important to small businesses, about how to run all aspects of your business. Some of them are entertaining. Some of them are very important, like what kind of interview questions you could be asking that are illegal. We show you, what to avoid in order to stay on the right side of the law. That's what we do here. Try to help you out. Cool. Well, without further ado, I do want to get into today's episode, part of the Soul of America tour number 2 to the Rocky Mountains with Steve Jones of Teton Gravity Research in Wilson, Wyoming. And we are live here, and we're in beautiful Wilson, Wyoming, and I have the pleasure to sit down today here with Steve Jones of Teton Gravity Research. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so cool to be here. I just drove into Jackson last night and saw the beautiful mountain range here. It's quite the setting you guys got going on.
Yeah, you nailed the high pressure, light dusting of snow and clear blue skies. It's a gorgeous time of year.
When I was driving into Bozeman, I didn't have that luck. It was like snowing sideways. So.
That was us a couple days ago. So
Nice. Good stuff. So tell me a little bit more. You guys are an iconic company here in the Jackson Hole area, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about what inspired you to start this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the valley, it was a big part of what inspired us to do it. We grew up in the mountains in Vermont, and at a pretty young age kind of got turned on to the West. And sorry about that.
It's all right.
Turn that on silent.
Sure.
So yeah, and kind of, fell in love with Wyoming, moved out here in our early 20s. We were kind of starting to ski professionally, doing the free ride circuit, getting photos in Powder Magazine. We got an opportunity to film with Warren Miller. We were skiing for Rosignol at the time. It was one of Warren Miller's main sponsors.
What year was this?
This was 1994 was the year we filmed with Warren Miller. Cool. And TGR ended up starting in 96. So okay. We were filming with Warren Miller. We were super young and idealistic, and we were trying to drag them all around the backcountry. And, they were like, no, we don't need that. We just need you to ski through the frame and make a shot. And so, we started to feel more like action sports models as opposed to athletes.
Sure.
And at that same time, we were commercial fishing in the summers up in Alaska, and we started heli guiding for Doug Coombs, and we were kind of mixing it up with a lot of the, up-and-coming pro athletes of the time. And so, not wanting to continue, careers as a commercial fisherman.
Yeah,
and
that pays well. You're basically financing your winter activities by.
Yeah, absolutely,
okay.
And it paid great, and it was incredible. Like, we both grew up in New England on the water, and you could make quite a bit of money in a short period of time. So it suited the lifestyle as well. It was definitely really physical, and you'd go 72 hours without sleep on the back of a cold, wet deck, and hauling heavy gear around and things like that. So, coupled with the vision to really want to showcase the mountains in a more pure form and the vastness of the backcountry where we live, and even up in Alaska where we were guiding, and really wanting to capture the full athleticism of skiing and snowboarding and show complete lines.
Yeah.
We get to talking over beers and go, God, we should just get our own cameras and so on and so forth. So we pooled our money, and we got a first 16 millimeter Airflex camera in 1995.
Those are expensive.
They were super expensive.
Yeah, how much was that?
God, I think that was with the lens kit and all of that, it was 15 to 20 grand, which as a kid in their early 20s is a lot of money.
As a kid at any age, it's a lot of money.
that would have sustained three of us all through a winter easily. So we got the cameras, and then the other thing that's really expensive, it was film. And film, you'd get about 3 minutes of film was $100 by the time you rolled it through the camera and got it returned back processed. So. We started playing around in the fall of 95, loaded a bunch of film backwards, a lot of trials and errors. And that winter we were filming in Jackson Hole and really just kind of started to put things together. We got some of our sponsors, our personal sponsors, to get behind the film component. Yep. We made a small reel, went to the trade show in Las Vegas in January and said, we want to make this movie, and it's going to be different, and it's going to be more reflective of youth culture, and so on and so forth. And that TGR was kind of born. I think we actually commercial fished for 2 more summers after that to subsidize. That's how we'd finish the films. We'd go out and shoot them, and then we'd need to go get more money to finish the films. So
wow. Okay, so that is actually really inspirational. A lot of our audience is small business owners and operators, or people who aspire to start companies. So that must have taken a lot of guts to take the risk, because obviously in hindsight now you're at it 21 years. It's been a big success, and you guys are a huge name in the industry. But back then, it was a huge leap of faith, right?
Yeah, I think it was a huge leap of faith, but we were so we were so young. We benefited from a little bit of kind of ignorance, I think, and just and we were very spirited and really passionate about what we were doing. So we didn't necessarily care about the money in the beginning, as long as we were continuing to do what we loved and be in the mountains. And so that was really the guiding light. I think 2 years in, we were able to stop commercial fishing. The business was sustaining itself, and we were like, okay, this is going to work. We're going to be able to make a career out of this. So that was exciting.
Was most of the revenue stream at that point from selling DVDs and things like that, or was it like the actual screening of the movies?
It was a combination of sponsorship dollars and selling what it was VHS tapes at the time.
VHS.
Yeah, I was pre-DVD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the film tour in the beginning was just a mega losing proposition. You know, we didn't have that model wired, and it was expensive, and you had to travel and rent venues, and that's since become one of the most valuable parts of our business. And we had a lot of people along the way go, oh, you got to ditch that. It's a money suck, but it's really been a thing that's set us apart from competitors, and also a really unique thing that not a lot of companies, even in action sports, have in terms of a way to like physically aggregate pretty good sized group of people in one area and have this really intimate touch point that's so much different than just a digital interaction, you know?
And what did you learn that made it profitable? I mean, you said it was a money-losing proposition that turned out to be...
Yeah, I mean, it was a number of things. We got a lot better at figuring out how to promote the shows and working with like local media and newspapers and bringing them on board as sponsors. We got, we launched our website in '96, which at the time was pretty progressive. Like a lot of the companies, I think we had a website before Rosignol did. And so we continued to build upon that, and we learned to like geo-target, and we did a better job at data capture, and so we could go into markets year after year and really hit the audience we were looking for, and then they would bring 3 of their friends, and so on and so forth. And
cool.
We just learned along the way.
That's great. So you mentioned Warren Miller. Warren Miller is a pioneer really in this whole industry, and they're still around. What's something when you guys set out? You mentioned a little bit about how it would reflect action sports culture, but what's a big differentiator that you guys seek in your films? Because now today, 20 years later, there are quite a few production companies that are doing interesting things in the ski and snowboard area.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, in many ways, Warren is the pioneer. He's been a big mentor to us. He started out doing it from the back of his car, sleeping in the back of his car, really just, passion-based. A lot of similarities to TGR, actually. And in our 22-year evolution, I think a big differentiator for us has just really been like trying to stay on the cutting edge of technology, looking out past the horizon line at what's coming. We've been very successful in terms of not just being, a lot of our peer group do, a film, and they release a film, and that's kind of the extent of it. Like, we've built this very large, one of the largest action sports online communities in the world. So, we do all kinds of different content partnerships with the companies in the industry as well as outside of the industry. Cool. From Sony's to Jeeps to car companies and things like that, and that's really helped us evolve.
That must have been a big way for you guys to grow and get more revenues, right? What was that like in the early days? So a lot of companies maybe have ideas and thoughts about how they can collaborate with other companies on content, and today obviously you have an established name, so it's probably a little bit easier and they come to you. But talk to me about the first few. Like, how did that all come together?
I mean, that remains a challenge because it's so fickle, and you're always bidding against other companies and things like that. I think we realized pretty early on that it was going to continue to be a scrappy, low to no growth business if we just kept putting out a ski film and printing DVDs and doing this film tour. So like really early on, we started building out this online community. And I think, agencies and things like that, as they started to like go and use search engines and things like that, we would pop up because we had a high, traffic, and we had some of the most content and so on and so forth. So really just, kind of being gritty and as resourceful as we could, and making hits to LA and meeting with the different agencies and things like that to try and just break out of that, pigeonhole of being just a ski and snowboard film company.
Yeah. And you probably got a lot of people in the beginning that told you no, and then you had to just keep asking more people, right?
We did. We got told. We got told no a lot, and we still do get told no, but less and less, And it's. I think now the work speaks for itself. I mean, action sports filmmaking has gotten so advanced in terms of 4K and red technology and
What does that mean for?
4K is basically the highest resolution digital technology. Like a lot of Hollywood film or most Hollywood films are being shot in 4K. We have a camera system that's a super elite, like a $750,000 heli mount gyro stabilized system that you can put red phantoms in, red dragons in. It's a lot of the stuff that you're seeing in same setup they used to shoot like Batman, basically.
Wow, that sounds expensive.
So it's pretty, but it's really one of the cool things has been to see just how action sports people are so passionate, and it's such a being out in these landscapes is so cinematic. It really deserves that level of attention, and it's crazy when you think about how much of a cottage industry action sports was to like some of the stuff you're seeing come out from people in our peer group. It's really
That's awesome.
Really spectacular.
How do you guys figure out the athletes that you sponsor and you work with? You work with a variety of different athletes, and you guys have gone beyond snow sports, right?
Yeah. We just finished a surf film called Proximity that we did co-production with Taylor Steele, and that was with Kelly Slater, John Florence, Rob Machado, Shane Dorian, a bunch of all the biggest guys. We're working on another documentary film right now based on three-time world champion Andy Irons, who passed away 6 years ago. And our athlete thing, it's pretty organic in terms of how it happens. It's a lot of it is, we're out in the field, we're seeing what's going on, we're seeing young up and coming unknown talent. We will try to connect them with some of the bigger sponsors of our films so that they'll have the resources to be able to come out and film with us. Really, I guess the one sentence answer would be like, we're looking at, the top tier guys, known or unknown, that also really have like what we consider to be the TGR DNA, which is this kind of humbleness and this kind of like, hey, if I was going to travel somewhere with this kid, are they going to be cool and are they going to be polite, or is it, yeah. And there's a lot of, kids that get sponsored at a really young age. And what can happen with that is you get a lot of bratty personalities and, people that feel overprivileged and things like that. So we work really hard to, have that DNA in our athletes. And I think most of our athletes, when I hear them in interviews or speaking about TGR, say the thing that they like is that, TGR really goes the extra mile in terms of creating this family vibe. So we do a lot of collaborative with our athletes. Like when we're going into films, we have pre-pro discussions. We let them participate in the creative ideas. We have these big forums. We do 3-day safety and avalanche workshops at the start of every season to make sure the team can work effectively and safely together. So a lot of things to really, we do big pre-premiere parties where we have, these quote unquote family dinners, where we get together with the athletes and the production team and things like that. So it's really kind of an organic process, but I think the reputation has helped as well.
That is awesome. And also you're talking about your values as a family and humility. You guys also have a big commitment to the environment, right? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, our brother Jeremy founded Protect Our Winners. I think it was almost 10 years ago now. Todd and I are both Knowles graduates, National Outdoor Leadership School, which, was very rooted in environmentalism. We kind of feel like we don't, TGR and our lives as they are don't really exist without a healthy environment. It's probably the most key ingredient to what we do. So that's something that, pre-TGR has been really probably organically instilled in us from an early age. And then when we started this thing and we realized not only one, could we be a voice for the professionalism of athletes in action sports, which I don't think were totally being recognized before. Also, a very natural fit for people who would advocate for the environment. So, we joined 1% for the Planet right away. Surfrider Foundation, our second surf film, we partnered with the Surfrider Foundation, gave all the proceeds from the film tour to local Surfrider chapters. Protect Our Winners has been a partner of ours since they were born. So yeah, it's something that very naturally is a part of our DNA, because we couldn't do what we do without that.
That's awesome. In all these years, what would you say is the number one lesson that you've learned in starting this business, and something you would share with somebody who's thinking about, maybe embarking and setting out on their own, or maybe somebody who's been running their business for a while?
That's a tough question. I mean, I would say the number one lesson that I've learned is to really always just try and be able to step back and take a deep breath, and your instinct is usually pretty on point, and make sure that your decisions are really syncing up with your heart and who you are. We've made some mistakes that we knew, I think, were going to be mistakes.
What's an example of that?
That's a good question. There's been so many along the way, because you get, resources become an issue when you're doing it on your own, and you're a small company, and you're trying to keep everybody paid, and make your payroll every week, and so on and so forth. But we've done some things where we brought out some outside investment dollars that maybe some of the people in that group we shouldn't have let into that group. We've been influenced by outside investment groups sometimes to bring in an outside CEO, and that's never worked out so great.
Did you guys do that?
We did, and it was pretty short-lived, and we tried to keep an open mind. We've always, the other big thing is you always want to be open and learn from people outside of the industry. We didn't come from a formal business background, so
you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, totally. And we've had a lot of good mentors, within those groups of people that we've come into contact along the way. So but there were just definitely some things where I think it was, if I could look back, I could have more so maybe put my foot down, knowing that was going to be a little bit of a regression before we had to move forward.
Got it. But it ended up working out.
Absolutely. And again, that's just that, that passion, I think, has been the biggest thing that's helped us persevere.
Yeah. What's your vision? What are the next 10 years for TGR?
I think our vision, has always been to be much more than a ski and snowboard film company. It's to be an action sports, really lifestyle brand, and that transcends just the sports. It's the music, culture, travel, nature, all of those things. So I think a big initiative of ours is continue to grow our online site and community, and have it be one of the most meaningful voices in the world, and be able to do cool things where we see an environmental atrocity and we're able to advocate for that, or we see somebody having milestone achievements in sports, and be able to help solidify that and advocate for that. I think
what are some examples of that, of the people that you see doing milestone achievements?
God, we're doing a series right now called Breaking Through that's all on women athletes.
Nice.
And and it's really cool. It's a digital series. It's interactive. So it's an intermixing of, editorial with photography, and then digital stuff that you can click on. And, we've been doing some amazing pieces on that. Angel Collinson is one of the featured athletes. she grew up, her dad was a ski patroller. Her and her brother basically grew up in a closet and bunk beds right at the base of Snowbird. And but had really good parents and a really good upbringing, and came from super humble beginnings, and has reached this elite status. And we've been a big part of helping Angel achieve that. Angel was a student; she was studying environmental science, and kind of started doing okay in a couple of these competitions, and got connected with us, and we've been an incredible platform to really amplify her career and be able to get her on a higher pay scale and create value for her basically as a whole. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Before we wrap up, I do want to ask you, you talked about growing your online community. That's something that a lot of small businesses aspire to do and struggle with, because it's tough to, I guess, for lack of a better word, fight for people's attention, or strive to get people's attention. How have you guys done that, and what has been successful for you?
I think just that's a tricky question, because it is a bit of science, but I think most of it has been trying to really stay true to the vision of, premium level content with TGR. And even when there's behind the scenes stuff of a paid content thing, really going, hey, we're not going to do this unless we could spin it in our voice, which we know will resonate in our audience. And really keeping super hands-on with our digital team, and making sure that it kind of aligns with the brand, and it's stuff that's true and is going to resonate with our audience, and not getting sidetracked by opportunities that maybe are inconsistent with that.
And what are some of the examples of science or things that you do that you apply to that strategy? You said that some part of growing your audience is scientific.
I mean, that's I have to be honest, that's probably outside of my scope of breadth to answer, but I know, I'm in a lot of meetings with the digital team, and my brother and my partner Todd has been, I've been a lot on the biz dev side. Todd's been a lot in the digital side. We both still work in the field and operate cameras, but Todd's really been the visionary behind the digital side of our team. And it's just everything from looking at how much social media is enough, how much is too much, what's good, how where are you crossing the line between inundating somebody to the point of being an annoyance, and that stuff. I'm not in that day to day, but I know that there's a science behind it, even down to listening to our programmers talk about search engines and the algorithms with Facebook and so on and so forth, which again are that's out of my scope, but
no problem.
That's all part of what's going on.
Cool. I know you're about to get on an international. Where are you headed tomorrow morning?
I am actually headed to LA, and then I am on a personal trip to Fiji. So
surfing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So thank you so much for spending the time with us today. Where can people find you? So what are your websites and your social media properties? And you also have a storefront here in Wilson.
We do. We have a storefront here in Wilson. We just opened up a retail shop on the town square, which is really cool. It's got a custom surround sound cinema in the back.
Wow. What's the address there?
That is 50 West Broadway.
Okay.
And it's right off of the town square. I mean, it's it's across the street from the Silver Dollar Bar and the Ward Hotel.
Jackson.
Yep. And it's got a virtual reality station in there. We kind of call it more of the TGR experience store. So you can walk in, you can play with the VR. We got films playing in the back, all kinds of cool stuff. Flat screens all over the place. So that's on the town square. We just opened that this summer. And you can check out our content at tetongravity.com. It's pretty new and fresh every day. And
That's awesome. And your Instagram handles is probably TGR or Teton Gravity. What is it? Forget it. Just search for Teton Gravity.
If you go on our site, you'll see where you can sign up to follow us on Facebook, where you can tag us. I think it's just hashtag TGR.com.
Okay.
We just launched a mobile unit called the Stokemobile that is actually out here now, but generally lives on the East Coast. So that's going around to different music events, and same thing, that's got a VR station. It's got flat screens playing content. It's got the TGR merchandise. We got a big sound system, and 3 decks coming off the thing, and so look for that on the East Coast as well.
That is awesome. Well, Steve, thank you so much for sitting down today and sharing your small business war stories with us. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Nice to meet you. So much. Appreciate it.
Take care. Thank you for listening to Small Business War Stories. If you enjoy the show, share it with a friend, or you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or on our blog at blog.proven.com. If you have an idea for us, we'd love to hear it. Please email us at podcast@proven.com. See you next time. Small Business War Stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes.